put a ball in my hand when I was like 2 years old. So by that time I knew I was like, yeah, basketball, like I'm going to play this for a while.
We use some of the words on the, uniform and throughout the stadium. And I think for us, it's important that the people know that the Spokane people are the original people of the land. And if we just say, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't be here, you can't be that, it's like we're erasing ourselves and trying to erase that we are part of that land.
Darn squirrels, I tell you, if they're eating your bulbs, hot sauce really helps. And you squirt it on there, and when the squirrels take a bite, you can hear them go, "Ahua!" and shoot across. It was great to see them.
Okay, so loneliness has been shown to have comparable effects on health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Get out.
Yes. Recent work has shown that the health impacts of feeling lonely over a long period of time are as detrimental to physical health. So it impacts cardiovascular health, immune system functioning.
Here at you, 20-10 last year at St. Mary's, which is a pretty tough place to play. What happened that day? What'd you have for breakfast? What happened that day?
My mom was there. She's my good luck charm. So she was at the game, and just knowing that she's there, it's just special to me, and I like to make the most of that. So it's all her.
Neil, the author and sociologist Neil Postman, wrote this one essay on BS, presents what he describes as Postman's second law, and that is at any given time, the source of BS that you have to be most concerned about with is yourself. As we get a little older, and as we get a little bit more maybe set in our ways, and also as we get a little bit better at defending our beliefs and arguments, we become more and more set because we can always find ways to convince ourselves that the thing we believed before we started looking into it is true.
And theoretically, plastic industry say, "Oh, this is all recyclable," except nobody wants it. You can't do anything with it. So a theoretical recyclability isn't the same as a practical recyclability. So all this stuff is
could literally recycle it. Like they have a process where they could recycle it. It's not impossible. They have a way to do it. It's just not.
Yeah, and like maybe there's a market for a car made out of gold, but nobody can afford it, right?
So, that is oftentimes something, or like an attribute that's used to denigrate millennials, that like, oh, they expect a trophy for everything. Who gave us those trophies? Like, who thought that was a good idea? It's difficult, or I think it's backwards to maybe blame millennials for that.
I think in the end, always with these sort of comic memoirs, you want to make sure the person who comes off worst is you, so that the foibles are your own, that everyone around you is relatively reasonable, and they're going, oh, come on. I will say I have a relative who's a young relative who doesn't show up a lot in this, and I think that, I'm not going to say his or her take is so charming on something. There's a detail that is so charming. I said, you said this hilarious and perfect thing. Can I just say that? And this person said, no. And I used it anyway.
Cool. So Tom wants to know if you've ever planned on doing a collaboration movie with your dad, and does he ever give you advice on your book?
No and no and no, because we're completely different animals.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to work with him. The problem is we're so different in so many different ways. I'm a horror, science fiction, military guy. He's a straight up comedian.
Let me just tell you, for somebody who's not even convinced at that point he's real, because literally nobody has met him. To see in your email, his name is like, oh, this cannot be. So you open it, and he thanks me and everything, and then just mind-blowing, he goes, what would you think if I drew your strip for a week? And I was like, what? Like, I didn't believe it. It couldn't be real, but it was real.
So we got a question earlier from Rich, who says, if you were throwing a dinner party, which 2 non-Inland Northwest riders would you want to have over for dinner?
Wow, I actually have this question. I'm supposed to be doing one of those New York Times by the book things.
Oh, yeah?
And they're always like, which 3 writers, dead or alive? And I'm always like, who would want dead writers at your house? Who'd want writers at your house? But certainly not dead ones. The stench would be overwhelming. But